travelradio.live. We'll be joining Tolulope to have conversation around empowering the African voices in the Scandinavia. All right, Tolulope, how have you been?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very well. I mean, the holiday just helped me to do a little rest. I was able to take some rest, and that helped. It really did help, and I'm excited about that. And
That's great.
yeah.
Well, we had a long Easter weekend here in Sweden, pretty much from Thursday through Monday, so a mini holiday. So that's great.
I noticed you've been traveling, something like that.
Yeah, mostly work stuff. Yeah, sometimes it happens like that.
Oh, interesting. All right, let's talk about you. So, how long have you been in Sweden for?
13 years will be this year.
13?
Yes.
That's quite a long time.
So it's been.
That's quite a long time. Tell us about the Scandinavia. Would we say Sweden is actually part of the Scandinavia? Help us understand that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Sweden is part of the Scandinavia. So I think there is usually this mix-up between what countries make up the Nordic countries and what countries make up the Scandinavian countries. And I hope I'm getting this correctly. I don't want the Scandinavian people to come after me. But I think that Sweden, Denmark, Norway will probably be part of the Scandinavian countries. And when we go to the Nordic, I think then we are adding Iceland and one more country. I'm not sure if my geography is not rusty.
I used to ascribe Scandinavia to the Nordic and some parts of that region because I am a huge fan of the Vikings. So my beard has been inspired by Ragnar Lothbrok. I had to trim it. Yeah, so I'm a lover. I love Ragnar Lothbrok. So Scandinavia really did. In terms of the Nordic, that story really inspired me, and the sons of Ragnar and whatnot. I think, and then there's something interesting about the entire Scandinavian region, and which for us, it has, for me in particular, living in England, it has also the history expand to all of those region in terms of London, Danes, like the Danish, and then all the environs of England where they occupied at the time, and it all emanated in terms of different leadership at the time where the Vikings would reign, the English would take it back, and things like just going back and forth. And interesting story. So what is peculiar with these Scandinavian people before we get into the African voice?
What's peculiar with the Scandinavia? I think that for the most part, I think I would say it's go easy here in most Scandinavian countries, as opposed to, for example, if you compare the Scandinavia with the US, for example. Life is fast-paced in the US compared to the Scandinavia, and I can speak to Sweden. And of course, also making this comparison between Sweden, the Scandinavia, and Africa, Nigeria, where I come from originally. We have a fast-paced life in Nigeria. Talk about the bustling and hustling of Lagos. You don't get that here. No, I like that. So we are cool and easy like that.
So you saying you prefer the fast pace to the slow pace?
No, I don't. Having lived in the Scandinavia now for over a decade, I can tell you for a certainty that no, I do not miss the fast-paced life at all. And of course, I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed living in Lagos, Nigeria. I mean, business-wise, Lagos is always, high and bustling and business. I was an entrepreneur in Nigeria, and so Lagos was my playground. So I enjoyed that. But when it came to me as my personality, I would call myself more of an homebody. So the Scandinavia fits that very perfectly. So I don't miss the fast-paced. No, I love the slow-paced.
Well, lucky you. London, Lagos is almost the same for me. Trust me. You got to be fast. You can run after your bus. All right, let's get into it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Let's get into it. So let's talk about the African voice, African Arise. How did you come about this? Tell us about the story.
Awesome. Thank you. But first, I should say thank you so much for this interview. And you guys have been doing a wonderful job at Travel Radio. I've been hooked on since morning and listening to the news and all of the things that has been. Thank you. So what does African Arise mean to me, and what has inspired this movement? So I would say for me, Africans Arise embodies the spirit of community. It was born out of a need to empower, to unite, and also to celebrate the resilience within the African diaspora here in Sweden. So we can say that it represents some sort of commitment to fostering a sense of belonging. But also at the heart of that is that we are also actively combating Afrophobia, which is racism against African people and anti-Black racism. And personally for me, community has always been a central part of my life. It's been my driving force for my work, writing research, engaging in ethnographic studies, actively involving in community initiatives, whether that be here or back home in Africa. I've been deeply motivated by this desire to uplift and empower people around me. So Africans Arise was birthed from that need. The STEAM community has a vital means of ensuring not only that people's physical needs are met, but also that individuals have a place of belonging, where we can feel included, where people can feel welcomed, and where people can feel appreciated. And one more thing I should add to that is, and sadly, as we saw in Sweden a couple of months ago, I don't know if you followed the news, some narratives that can be propagated by political leaders can significantly shape public action. And such things can incite, prejudice, discrimination, and ultimately violence. So therefore, we think that there is a need for civic response through collective action to challenge such things like prejudice, racism, discrimination. We must ensure that we are promoting inclusion. I think this is crucial for any egalitarian society. So community engagement is at the heart of what we do. Safe spaces for dialogue, cultural exchange, and mutual support. So that's the vision and mission and what birthed Africans Arise.
I know you talked about especially the unity and Afrophobia. How is that coming across? How is that going? How is it coming with Afrophobia, knowing that you are surrounded by a compliance level, where if you look at yourself, you are one in many of the race on the street. And if you look at that, that makes it a compliance level, because the first question is, there's somebody standing out amongst us who doesn't look like us. How's that coming? The Afrophobia.
Right. Awesome. Yeah. So I understood that question in way of why it is important, therefore, for what you have highlighted, for African voices to be amplified. Because the thing about feeling different, and I think everyone has felt different at some point in their life, they don't feel like they belong. And what that can do to people's well-being, how that can, the far-reaching effect of that we have seen, and we can go into all of that, that's a whole conversation on itself. So I can tell you that it feels isolating when you feel like your voice cannot be heard, or when you feel like you are being looked at differently and that you don't matter. And I can speak specifically. But Malmö, the city where Africans Arise primarily operates here in Sweden, has long been perceived as a cultural, multicultural, multilingual, multi-ethnic society. And I think there is a prevailing ethos that has been that when people of diverse backgrounds, when they come together, they should be able to learn from each other, create what we can call like a vibrant melting pot of cultures and traditions, and which is good. However, I must say that some of these cities still overlook the fact that not everyone has been included, particularly from marginalized communities. And the reason that these voices are important is that they bring unique cultural insights and experiences, enriches the social fabric of any society, and fosters greater understanding. So, and just to pin it back to your question, it feels different, it feels isolating, it feels like you don't have a sense of belonging. But I would say that it's not doom. There are cities here in Sweden, particularly Malmö, who is making significant effort to make everyone feel included. Yes.
Nice. Nice. That's interesting to know. I know that Sweden can be chill, and there's a lot of recognition. There's a lot of attraction for Africans to migrate if at all. If that is in the pipeline for anyone who wants to relocate, there's a lot of attraction to say, oh, go to Sweden. They are more chill, they're more relaxed, life is easy there, and they've got quality of life compared to even the UK, honestly. I hear that a lot, and sometimes I wouldn't lie, I'm tempted. It's just for the language I have to learn again, which really, I wouldn't have said I mind, but, that's going to take a little while. All right, but let's look at something that has to do with the claiming that space for culture and justice. If we look at it holistically, I know there have been situations, especially during the Gaza and Israel war, and there's been a lot of uproar with the Middle Eastern migrants in the country, which has also been a little regrettable by the government to have admitted a lot of these lots. Sorry to use that word. I don't mean it in a bad way. It's just a British word to just say people, into the system. And there were a lot of attacks, even into homes. And it now looks like Sweden, that we know to be safe, is no longer safe. How would you say that for the Africans or for the blacks, claiming that space, culture and justice, how has that played out with real issues systemically for people of color?
Yeah. A very great point you've raised there. Sadly, in Sweden today, the political scene is a little bit different. The Sweden we used to know, at least when I came to Sweden, and what is happening now, it calls for reflection. But again, I'm being guided, to just focus on how I have experienced it and within the African community, and again, what gave birth to the movement that we have now. So claiming space for culture and justice, it certainly looks like, actively creating platforms for voices to be heard. Because when you don't include everyone, when people feel isolated, when someone feels, I don't belong, I don't have a voice. But do not forget, they are still a part of that society, right? Yeah. So these are going to birth new set of problems. Because when people feel isolated, when people feel they don't belong, when people feel their voices do not matter, or when people feel stereotyped, discriminated against, any action is possible. When people feel frustrated. So the way to bridge that, we think, then we need to create platforms where we can celebrate culture, heritage. We must be able to advocate for equitable policies that include everyone, right? And at Africans Arise, what this means for us and what we are doing is to develop programs that promote intercultural exchange, programs that challenge discriminatory practices, empower individuals to thrive. And these representations are very crucial in all spheres of life, particularly in sectors such as education, healthcare, housing, and politics. And if I can just touch a bit on some of this, because these sectors are what we speak to when we speak about what is happening in a particular society, how does it affect people? For example, in education, it is vital to ensure that curricula reflects diverse experiences and histories of all students. I have been to conferences where even Swedish professors who, they say, in my class, it's difficult to talk about race. It's difficult to address these things. Some people do not want to talk about it. But you are teaching people who come from multiple backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds. Yeah. So you need to have to be comfortable to address some of these issues. And some of them are taking it on, I must say. They are at the forefront of these things. Even in healthcare, we must have cultural sensitive practices that address unique needs of patients. In employment, we want to affirmate actions, policies, that are catering to diverse initiatives that can help to level the playing field. You can have two people in a particular workspace and you treat one better than the other. That's not healthy. In housing, we must combat housing discrimination. We must be able to promote affordable housing options. In politics, we have to have representation that can help to amplify the voices of African communities and ensure that concerns are addressed in policymaking processes. So in all of these sectors and in much more, we should strive for representation. And I think we start to better understand each other and see where we can meet in the middle.
Can I ask now that you mentioned political representation? How is that coming for the Black community in Sweden? Are they represented politically?
Well, I would say it's still in its infancy, but we can get there because it's a two-way street as I see it. There are persons who have made the effort. Maybe the opportunities sometimes are also not even readily there. But as much as we are advocating for representation to be created, but we also have to want to. So right now, I would say it's still in its infancy, but we can get there.
Brilliant. So let's look at the African diaspora in Scandinavia. Is it shifting the cultural or social narrative? Are they beginning to make that impression strong that we are here and we are part of the system?
Yeah. Again, I'm going to go back to what I said about political representation still in its infancy within the African community. And I think it's a little bit the same, but maybe not, maybe more improved. I think the African diaspora is enriching Scandinavia by introducing new traditions, perspectives, artistic expressions. And again, I must commend, for example, the culture department of the city of Malmo and some other organizations that provide grants to support cultural programs, because these programs infuse the infusion of culture. It challenges existing norms, promotes diversity, and fosters a more inclusive society. So yes, I would say that African diaspora in Scandinavia and Sweden challenging dominant narratives, power structures, especially the ones that perpetuate inequality and marginalization. But then again, there is a lot of room for improvement. And some of these gaps is what we also aim to fill with the African Sunrise nation.
All right, let's talk about your personal experience. Has there been, personally, have you faced or witnessed a stereotype in the Scandinavian context where you feel you have to challenge or respond to that stereotype? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. That's a capital yes. I personally encountered numerous stereotypes, both subtle, overt, but that's a topic for another day, believe me. Stereotypes are unfortunately a reality. You see it play out in the workspace, you see it play out in social circles, you even see it play out in neighborhoods. Even in religious spaces. I may not be able to speak to a particular experience for privacy for persons involved, but I want to say there is a need to challenge these stereotypes. And some of the ways that we have found out at Africans Arise is through education. And education does not only mean the four walls of a university or school, but education can also be informal. And also open dialogue, and also showcasing the diverse talents and contributions of African individuals. Because what we have also realized, or what I have personally realized, is that you can blame someone for all you want, but if they're ignorant about a thing, you must cut them the slack too. That is it that people do not know? Is it that people are not informed? Is it that people are not enlightened, right? What has been their experiences? It's not an excuse, because you have to want to self-educate. If you want to make better, you have to seek to educate, right? To self-educate. So, but sometimes you have to take the education to the people as well, to enlighten people, not in an abrasive way, but in a way for us to understand. When we foster a culture of empathy and understanding, we certainly can help break down stereotypes and promote greater acceptance and inclusion. So yes, I've witnessed stereotypes, but on a larger scale, sometimes just about you, there's so many people witnessing the same. So how can we solve this problem? How can we make better? So that's the perspective that I'm taking on.
Brilliant submission there, I must say. But this will take me to having to talk about the media shaping the perception of Africans in Europe. Take, for instance, I know they are storytelling in a way that you see, one of my experience has been, I'm searching Google for images and I put black.
Right.
I see African Americans. I put Africans. I see malnourished, impoverished people. And that goes a long way. There have been TikTok viral videos of how the West has been asking questions about situations as it relates to East Africa, this or that. Now, the media has portrayed this. So, how
Right.
in the Scandinavia, particularly to Sweden, how is the media telling the story or the perception of Africans in Europe?
Well, I would say, to be fair, I haven't seen something significant. The media portrays, media talks about many things and so on and so forth. But when it comes down to Sweden and the Scandinavia, as opposed to how you see it happen in other places, I think it's more covert than overt, I would say. So sometimes it can be very difficult to recognize it, but it's there. But like I said, it's more, in my experience, it's more overt than overt. Like maybe you don't open the newspaper or listen to the radio or listen to a podcast and someone is explicitly speaking to a particular issue. When it comes to the political scene, yeah, in some cases there has been, but I think it's been major, like immigrants and so on and so forth, as opposed to directing it towards African persons. But I want to go back to what you've spoken to about the power of media and storytelling. Storytelling is one of the methodologies that I have found, to be very powerful. And I've used it. I've used it in research. I particularly love attending conferences of storytelling because media and storytelling wield a powerful influence in shaping perceptions. So the example that you gave about when you get on the internet or you type a word black, what does it bring up, right? When you type the word Africa, what does it bring up, right? Now, those are narratives that someone has fed the internet with anyway, right? Whether that be then true or not true, people are taking it in. I listened to an interview many years ago, and I think it was a Danish guy, I can't remember his name, and he was talking about how media can sway perception. And he sat and he showed his shoe. He said, "Can you see me?" Like he was well dressed, right? Like, well dressed could be, like decently dressed. And then he said, "But can you see if something happened to my shoe? Maybe my shoe was not looking good. And someone focused the camera on my shoe, and that's all everyone saw. Would it go away with a perception that, oh, maybe that's such a poor guy or something like that?" And I saw the sense in what he was saying. And I have seen this. And that's the question you asked me about if I've been, particularly, experienced stereotypes. People ask me some questions sometimes, and I see that, oh, okay, I see where you are coming from with this question because of your perception of what an African is supposed to be or what the image of an African person should be. Of course, I did ask the person for the questions that so I guided the person to where he was actually going to, And so we must be able to share authentic stories. That's where these kind of movements, organizations, NGOs, civic responses, that's their responsibility because the person who wants to perpetuate a thing will do it. So you must have your own true storytelling. You must have authentic stories to showcase the diversity of your community, to challenge negative stereotypes, to promote a more nuanced and accurate portrayal of your community wherever you are, whether that be the Scandinavia, America, wherever. So engaging in storytelling, it recognizes the transformative power of narrative in shaping perceptions. So if a perception is wrong, the onus then lies on you who knows the real story to tell the story and never be afraid that your voice should be silenced and not be heard. You must speak up and you must tell your story and tell your truth. So that's what we need to do.
Let me just add to what you just said about telling the story. And this is why travel radio, for instance, is doing what it's doing because our stories has really not been told the way it should be told. But in this sense, we are trying to tell the narrative and the story of the Black and African traveler, his experience and everything that's got to do with his journey. And I think it is important to tell your story rather than another media reshaping your story, your narrative to your children. And that's even the worst. That's even the worst when your child wake up tomorrow to say, no, I hate my skin. No, I am not even this identity anymore. Do you see? And this is why it's important. I feel that what Trump is trying to do with, we need to change the narrative of the black story in terms of how it relates to the building of America, erase this, pull down this. No, I don't think it is. And this is the high time, this is the moment we should start talking about reparation even stronger, because
Right.
we need to make our presence really, really known. Anyway, that said, could you share a
I,
moment or event within the African Arise initiative that really inspired or moved you?
There are so many moments where, witnessing individuals being empowered through our community engagements. But I must at this point acknowledge the dedicated team at Africans Arise, led by its executive board members. I think they're the real unsung heroes. So this is not just about only me. No, I have a team behind me that we drive this together. And some of these inspiring moments, for example, there is Rene empowers young people through forum theatre. It creates powerful sense of belonging and collective strength. I have Abimbola, who is my co-founder, who leads community initiatives in health literacy, stigma reduction within marginalized communities, and these programs reinforce health policy advocacy. There is Babs, who uses creative dance, art expressions to foster inclusion, challenges social exclusion, through cultural responsive programming, and so many of our partners, who work to support us to bring our organization's mission to life. So there are many moments that I have personally been inspired by. Seeing people gain confidence, acquire new skills, pursue their dreams has been a testament of the impact of our work, and this is truly inspiring. However, of course, we must ensure the sustainability of these programs by establishing partnerships with local businesses and organizations. This is also crucial. So
This
I'm
business
grateful.
is black owned?
Yes, we do have businesses that are Black owned, and one of our mission also at Africans Arise is to amplify their voices, because sometimes you see that people have things that they are doing. Maybe this person is in one corner, that person is in another corner. Can we have a platform where people can be showcased? And this is also part of the storytelling. This is also part of, amplifying people's voices and showing how people are contributing. It's a fabric of a society, and there are people making great contributions. And we intend to use this platform to amplify those voices in the African community.
Brilliant. So, what are the ways listeners, especially young Africans in the diaspora, can get involved, stay connected, and contribute to the movement?
Absolutely. Listeners can get involved. So we have a website, www.africansarise.org. You can register as a member. You can attend our programs, events. You can
Where can we
volunteer
register as a member?
on the website. So on the website, we have www.africans, so African with the S, Africans Arise. That's the one word. www.africansarise.org. Yes.
Yeah.
There you will find a button where you can be a member. There is also the opportunity to volunteer. So if we have a list of volunteering opportunities there, as people want to give us their time in that way. You can participate in our programs. You can spread awareness about our mission. And of course, you can connect with us through our social media handles. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. But visit our website. We have all the information, and it can take you to the different handles that we have. And become a member and support us, and also collaborate with us. And that includes businesses, organizations who are especially fostering DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, want to work with African communities, want to make the world a better place, and so.
Interesting. First, your website is beautiful. Two, if you want to join, you just go to www.africansarise.
Africans.org. Rise, yes.
And then you go to
Yes.
get involved, and it will
Yes,
give
get
you a
involved.
drop-down menu, become a member,
That's
volunteer,
correct.
donations. Please donate, and then first become a member, and then find
Yes.
how you can be part of the community for growth of Africans, especially in Scandinavia, in and around Europe, and in Africa. Please get involved. But lastly, Tolulope, what message do you want to leave with Africans across the globe listening right now who might be searching for identity, belonging, or empowerment?
Great. So, my message is this: embrace your heritage, celebrate your identity, and never underestimate your potential. And that's because you belong, your voice matters, and you have the power to create positive change in the world. Enormous power. So get involved, stay connected, and let's continue to build a stronger, more united, and empowered African diaspora. So I'm just going to say, let's arise together. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tolulope. I must let you know that Sweden topped our listenership for today, followed by Nigeria. Nigeria's always topped. Sweden topped Nigerian listenership today, I must let you know, followed by Nigeria, and then followed by United Kingdom and United States. Ugandans are listening, Canada is listening, Germany is listening, South Africa is listening, China, Ghana, Turkey, and other countries. The list goes on and on and on, and they are listening. You know, these are the top 11 that have been listening so far, and others are listening. And thank you for coming on the show today. You are the first guest that from a region that clinched the top. Yes, you are the first, and we should give it to you. We give it to you.
Thank you. I take my flowers.
This is interesting, and this is beautiful too. Tolulope, I want you to know that Travel Radio is here. We are just a dial away. We are a net away. I say net because we are on the internet, and that also means that anything that helps to grow Africans and Black alike, we are more than happy to get involved in it, to look into how the values connect, and then we can help expand the reach and the word. We are happy about what we are doing, and we are happy about what you are doing. Thank you for coming on Wake and Wonder on travelradio.live. We are always here Mondays to Friday, 8 o'clock to 12 GMT plus 1. And I wish all the members of the Africans Arise wonderful time in this season, this period, and to your projects. And hopefully I will visit and catch in personally on some of your initiatives and activities.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to look forward to that sometime.
Come to Sweden. Yes.
I can't wait. Maybe I'll move in. You never know. You just never know. And I'll leave London for Londoners.
Leave London for Londoners for a second. Come to Sweden. Come to the country also. Let's have some Swedish speaker.
Thank you very much for your time, and have a beautiful day
so very much.
ahead.
You too. Thank you. Bye now.